Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video. Fire escape number 2 here, White Plains. 1 of 7. This is 2 of 7. And what we have here is a fire escape very similar to the in detail summary report that we did for fire escape number 1. Again, same thing. 100% of this fire escape needs to be painted. It's older than 1978, so it does have paint and lead. Must be a licensed renovator to touch this. With that being said, a full scraping is needed. But let's look at what else is wrong with the fire escape. Every rail corner, every rail has got ice jacking, severe rust in every corner. Everything's popped. This first floor's got, you know, probably some of the most severe, but it's already popped in this corner. And as you go along the line, it's no longer connected, just out there in space. So this fire escape is not being held together too well, and that's what sort of keeps the nose on all the supports. Cement, it's not as bad as the first one. We do have structural cracks falling happening throughout every floor, but I believe that corner on that particular one has probably got the most weather. This one's in sort of a little pocket and protected by all these buildings, so it probably doesn't get as much snow. But structurally, she's got the rail on the outside, and that rail needs to be extended so that in case you fall, you don't fall throughout the fire escape. But then on the inside, there's no inside rail, as you can see, and no protective rail that's needed there so you don't fall inside the pit on every floor. Every floor is missing its rail, except for the top floor. There's the rail right there. There's a protective rail up there to keep you from falling into the pit. So it does have a roof access ladder, and this roof access ladder does need to be secured. All original hardware, as you can see. So, but this fire escape hasn't seen maintenance. I was looking for evidence of maintenance. It's nothing but original rivets and original square heads. Not one new bolt on a tread anywhere. And the treads have all the same issues as fire escape number 1. Again, 100% of the treads have rust buildup, and all that is to the point where some of these treads are going to let go in the future, and they're all riveted, which is by far one of the toughest. Rebolting is riveted fire escapes. They're very difficult. The ladder, as soon as you lift it up a little bit, that hook comes away, but that hook is only being held by one old bolt there. That needs to be changed out. Does fall down to the ground here. Does have a metal grate that should be resecured. It's starting to lift. And again, all original hardware holding that ladder. It will guillotine down. There's nothing slowing it down. We need to discuss this with the inspector of record, Ivan, whether or not he wants that ladder to be permanently mounted on the wall, 7 to 9 feet off the ground, and you just jump the last 7 to 9 feet, or if he wants us to leave this as is because it's a pre-existing condition, or does he want us to put weights on it so that it drops 2 to 3 feet per second? That is to be discussed with the inspector, and his final decision will then determine the repair. As you start getting up there, you're going to start seeing a lot of rust. Every rail has rust jacking. Every rail, rust jacking. Rust jacking in the corners. Popped every single bolt, rust jacking. Rust jacking. So everywhere, just repeats itself. This fire escape is a mirror, and they all have various repairs that need to be done, but 100% of all the bolts need to be done on that fire escape, and 100% of all the bolts need to be done on this. So it's really a small percentage change from one to the other, but everything has to be done, because the only way to guarantee any of these old 50 to 75-year-old bolts is to load test them, or in lieu of a load test, swap out the old bolts, put in new bolts, and then the inspector will not order a load test. Cement work. Some cement work, and this one doesn't have it as bad as fire escape number 1, has to be done by a mason. Some of the temporary work will be done by the iron worker, which is well within his scope of work, within 4 to 8 inches square of the steel going into the building. But then if there's structural cracks on the wall, sill work, it's all to be done by a mason after all the fire escapes are repaired. Any work done on this fire escape by a mason, the certification is null and void until such time that the mason is done with all his work. Then you need to have the fire escapes re-inspected during any and all times that the mason is doing some work on the building and is using the fire escapes. The certification is null and void, and any and all responsibilities of anything that occurs on this fire escape lies solely with the contractor who's doing the work. Upon completion of his work, then the fire escapes are re-inspected and recertified in lieu of a load test. Any questions? Fire escape engineers, Inspector Manessas here. Fire escape number 2 of 7 here in White Plains.